Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we're talking about filling yourself up with gratitude so that you eat less. I've seen this work over and over and over again, myself and with clients, that the more grateful you feel, the more gratitude that you feel day in and day out, the less you tend to eat, because a lot of times the extra eating you're doing is simply because you feel kind of this emotional hole to some degree. And when you fill that hole up with gratitude, it almost always leads to better food choices. And the reason I'm talking about this obviously is Thanksgiving coming up. And a lot of times we kind of, I think, lost the plot a little bit in the sense that it's become all about the food. The food's wonderful. I'm grateful for the food. But if we really use this as an opportunity to really practice gratitude in an in-depth way, it becomes a wonderful way to start to fill yourself up with gratitude, because we live in a culture that really prevents us from feeling grateful, right? Because of course, we live in a consumerist culture. And so to not feel grateful is important to lead you to need to crave and desire the next thing to kind of fill in that hole. And so when we fill in that hole with gratitude, it feels very genuine. It feels very real, feels very fulfilling. And it's a transformative emotion that really changes the way that you think and feel. And it can literally even change your hunger, because a lot of times when you look at your eating, you're going to notice that it's not the eating, it's not so much eating for calories that's a problem. It's the eating for emotions. And you may find yourself eating emotionally when you get stressed, upset, depressed, anxious, whatever the emotion may be. And when we feel grateful, it's one of those magical emotions that can really help all the other ones. Because when you start to appreciate and express gratitude and feel gratitude for all of the things you have in your life, it changes you in a second. Think about all the things you have in your life that you're grateful for, big things, little things. And the more you begin to focus on those, the more lucky you feel, the happier you feel, the more appreciative you are, and the more content you are, because you realize that you have so much in your life. And we live in a culture where we're constantly trained to not focus on those things and just focus on what you don't have and what's better than what you have. But if you take a step back and compare what you have in your life to what people had 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, very quickly you realize, oh my goodness, you're living better than kings lived. You're living better than pharaohs lived. And we lose sight of that so easily. And I think the more that you focus on that, the more gratitude you feel, the more gratitude you kind of cultivate and develop within yourself, the more full you feel. And it's emotionally full, but it translates into physical fullness as well a lot of times. And again, it supports you making healthier food choices, because now, because you feel full emotionally, you're not trying to fill that hole in with food. And when you do eat, you're eating for nourishment. You're eating to power yourself up. And so again, practicing gratitude is just one of those things that we really want to work on 365 days a year. But as Thanksgiving comes, it becomes even more important to focus on that, I believe, and go into tomorrow with the focus mainly on gratitude and giving thanks for all the things you do have, all the things you do appreciate and are thankful for, and enjoy the food too. But let that happen on top of a foundation of real, genuine gratitude. And notice how it feels. Notice how you eat when you feel that way, and enjoy the day. So I hope this helps you out. If you do want some extra support for Thanksgiving, please click the link in my bio and get the free hypnosis session. And today, a little bit later, I will send you the Thanksgiving training and session I did as well. So I'll help you thrive throughout Thanksgiving in the easiest, most effective way possible. So I hope this helps you out. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. Let me see here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Angie says, my problem revolves around waiting for the ball to drop. When things are great, I think, okay, something bad's going to happen soon. I get that. I mean, first of all, you can be like that anyways, but certainly dieters are even more like that. Dieters are some of the most superstitious people I know. And so dieters, like, oh my goodness, there's no winning when you're a dieter, right? Because even when you start losing weight, then it starts becoming, I hope I don't put the weight back on. I hope I don't screw this up. I hope I don't fall off track. And it's just this never ending. Oh my God, being a dieter is just one of the worst things. It's so unsatisfying and torturous. But yeah, I get it. I totally get it. That when things are great, people tend to get, oh, now and then when are things get bad? I know it can't last this long forever. To that, I always say there's a quote I think of probably every day, and it's that a coward dies 1,000 deaths, a hero one. Meaning that to me, how things are now, they're good, they're bad, regardless. They are how they are now. How are things going to be in the future? Well, that's a combination of what actions I take and things that are out of my control. And so I like to focus on my locus of control, which is the things I'm doing. Now I can do and focus on everything I'm doing and do it perfectly, and still something could be waiting for me to just pop me on the head. And if that happens, I will deal with it then. But until that happens, I'm not going to live in that reality. And so it's a very intentional choice I make. And it's something I practice regularly. Because again, we all have a negativity bias. So it's easier for our brain to imagine the worst case scenarios, everything falling apart. Our brain does that automatically. But I keep redirecting it back to that could happen. I acknowledge that. It's not happening now. And so I'm going to live in the enjoyment of my success. I'm going to live in the enjoyment of my reality now. And again, if the bad thing does come, I will deal with it then. But I do not want to be in a good situation and make it bad because in my head, I'm thinking about how could all go wrong. So again, we don't live in reality. We live in our heads. And so you could be in a great situation, but your head could be thinking about how bad it could be. And now all of a sudden that great situation is not great because you're in the bad situation. And the flip side can be true too, though. Okay. So again, at the end of the day, ultimately, it always comes down to our mindset, in my opinion. And again, the mindset's more important than the reality, because the reality we can overcome. We could be in a great situation, make it bad. We could be in a bad situation, make it great, depending on our mindset. So again, it always comes back to the same point that we really need to learn how to run our minds and our thoughts. What's up, Jen? Happy Turkey Eve. Yes. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's fun. I like the food too. The food's fun, but it's just fun on vacation day. I get to be with my family. It's just, I'm looking forward to it for sure. And I hope you all are going to have a nice Thanksgiving as well. And I hope you have a nice, calm, relaxing Thanksgiving. That's what I wanted for you as well. I know sometimes if you're a dieter, Thanksgiving can be stressful. Again, just one more reason why dieting sucks. It can ruin good times. It could be a holiday where you get to spend time with your friends, eat fun food, have a day off, and you're in your head worried about calories. Or you're going on vacation to some amazing place and you're in your head worried about calories, not enjoying it. So again, I hope that everyone tomorrow can go into Thanksgiving and just thrive, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a better Thanksgiving you have in a long time. And, still moderately stay in control of your eating. We don't got to go too crazy because I feel shitty, but instead, to move into, a space where you're really enjoying the day, enjoying the food, and enjoying how you feel afterwards because you didn't stuff yourself silly. That's where I'm headed to anyways. And so I hope the same for you if that works. Yeah. Angie says, thank you. We don't live in reality. We live in our heads. Something to think about. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. Same to you. And it's true. We do not live in reality. Again, there's reality, then there's interpretation, then there's experience of it. And that's the process. We don't live in reality directly. So it is interesting to think about that. What's up, Katie? How's it going? What's up, Carrie? Hey, PYT family. Let's see, I don't miss anything. Hello to someone who doesn't have a username, but hello. D says, do you just moderate what you eat at big meals like Thanksgiving, or do you just let it be a pleasure day? Well, let it be known. Again, pleasure days, I always try to remind you this. Pleasure days still are moderated because to me, now listen up, this is what makes this all work. Okay, so listen to this for a second. It takes a little bit of concentration, all right? To me, the highest pleasure I can get out of food in a meal is not equivalent to the how much I can consume. So here's what I'm trying to say. My pleasure tomorrow, Thanksgiving dinner, my ultimate pleasure is not a direct function of quantity that I can eat. Does that make sense? Because if I've had that, we've all had that, right? Where if I just go into Thanksgiving and it's a pleasure day, and if I associate pleasure with quantity of food I can eat, I'm going to overeat way too much. And I've done this. And then I would probably drink too much on top of it as well. And then I would feel like shit pretty much from about 5, 6 o'clock on. We usually get started around 1, 2 o'clock, so about 6, 7 o'clock on for the rest of the night, I feel stuffed. I feel full. I feel kind of gross. I might get a headache. I don't feel that good. I don't feel good. And then I wake up on Friday morning and I don't feel that great. And so that to me is not pleasure. That's not the highest form of pleasure. The highest form of pleasure in my mind is to go to Thanksgiving tomorrow. And yes, I will enjoy the food. I will eat different foods than I normally do. I will eat more than I typically do, but I will not go way excessive in eating a ton of food, drinking a ton of alcohol. I won't do that because that's not pleasurable to me. That's not pleasure. Now, you may have a different definition of pleasure. That's fine. But for me, the sweet spot for me that I'm aiming at tomorrow is I will go to the thing. I'll eat appetizers. I'll eat dinner. I'll eat, all the different stuff. I'll have a couple glasses of wine it's a sweet spot, so let's just say, we'll look at like kind of eating scale, right? And so here's where I eat nothing, and here's where I eat absolutely everything. I'll probably be right around here. This is where I want to be, right in this ballpark. I don't want to go over here. It doesn't feel good to me. You may be different, but so this is a very important point to internalize, because subconsciously, if you're an American, I almost guarantee that you associate pleasure with quantity, that it's about how much I eat. And I think there's a higher pleasure there. And I think that higher pleasure is when you eat all the foods you like, but you eat them in a relatively moderate way. So when you're done, you still feel good. So yes, it will be a pleasure day for me for sure. But that's more because it's not because it won't be structured. Like I have a structure for how I'm going to eat tomorrow. I know how I'm going to eat tomorrow, to some degree. And it will be a pleasure day because I will be eating flour. I will be eating sugar. There'll probably be some processed foods, and I'll be eating just more foods than I typically do. So that makes it a pleasure day. But again, pleasure days are not non-structured. They're not binge days. So let's make that clear. Yes. Kelly, exactly. Pleasure equals just right feeling for me. Yes. Goldilocks. Exactly. It's the Goldilocks. Yes. We're looking for that sweet spot. And it's a sweet spot that no one ever defines, because dieters live in, I get to eat everything and that's pleasurable, or I can't anything and that's deprivation and miserable. And you live in this binary experience where it's one or the other. And I don't accept that. I accept that there's a higher form of pleasure, and it's that sweet spot in the middle where I get to enjoy the food. I get to enjoy my family. I get to enjoy the day off. I get to enjoy some wine. And then when it's all said and done, I still feel good. That's the sweet spot for me. And I know some people just going headlong into a food coma. And it's funny and haha. I don't find it funny. Like, I don't know. Like I get it. Okay. I get the culture we live in. I've been there. I've been that person. I know. But now I don't find it enjoyable. I don't find it enjoyable to be so full that I can't breathe right. I don't find it enjoyable that I got cramps. I don't find it enjoyable I can hardly move. I don't find it enjoyable that it kind of gives me headaches. I don't find it enjoyable that I don't sleep well at night. I don't find any of those things funny, enjoyable. I just don't like them. So I'm not trying to convince you of shit. I don't give a fuck what you do tomorrow. But I'm telling you, I've woken up out of that bullshit US trance of just consume a whole day of that. That's again, that's great. Is it great? How do you feel at the end? I get it. You sleep on the sofa and sleep. I get it. I know, eating and then taking a nap. I like that part. But how full do you need to be to go take a nap? Anyways, Jen says, once you have not been overeating for a while, when you do, it feels extra. Yes. Thank you, Jen. I'm glad you said that, actually, because I know a lot of people. So what I'm saying is falling on deaf ears for a lot of people. It fell on deaf ears with me if you'd said it to me back in the day, because I ate so much that Thanksgiving, I just ate extra so much. Overeating is relative. So I eat moderately all the time. And so if I went into, if I went into tomorrow's Thanksgiving like I did 20 years ago, holy shit, I'd feel like absolute shit tomorrow, because I'm more sensitive because I eat moderately all the time. So you're absolutely right. It does depend on how you've been eating to some degree. So again, you're like, oh, Jim, I feel great when I overeat like that. Well, maybe you do, but I don't. And that's been part of my process, is becoming sensitive to how do I feel after I finish eating. What's up, Rachel? How's it going? Pickett says, on your clean day, how do you get past the feeling of being deprived? If you're going to forgo sweets, for example, by default, that's deprivation. Well, that's interesting how you put that. By default, that's deprivation. That's an interesting question. I don't accept that. I don't accept that by default it's deprivation. I do respect the relativity of that. If you eat a lot of sweets and then one day you say, I'm not going to eat sweets, that's going to feel like deprivation. So I do understand that. And I understand what you're saying. But I want to make clear that the way that I got to my clean days was by cutting down. So first things I did is I stopped eating at night. That was the first big thing I did. Then I started cleaning up my day. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to make sweets tomorrow. It originally was, I'm going to have less sweets tomorrow. And I started whittling them down, 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 down. And even now, my clean days, I'll eat like dark chocolate, which I'm sure there's some sugar in it, but it's very minimal. And so I don't want to say I eat no sugar. It's very, 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 very minimal though. So the way that I deal with going from eating a lot of sweets to eating no sweets is I respect the process, and I transition. And that's what I did. I transitioned from eating a lot of sugar to eating less, pretty much none. So that's how you get past the feeling of being deprived. When you feel a strong feeling of deprived, it's usually a signal that you're going too fast. That's what I think. Now, I know dieters can't even understand what that means, because dieters only have stop and go, right? There's no middle ground for a dieter. It's either you're doing it perfectly or you're not doing it all. So I don't think that's a good strategy, but to each their own. But so again, if I go and make a change in my diet or an intention to change something, and I go into it and I'm freaking out and I'm feeling super deprived, I respect that signal. I say, okay, whoa, let's ease off my goal here. Let's just go sugar-free until noon. Let's just not have the morning pastry. Let's work on that. So again, I know for most dieters, this is like, what? I'm not gonna lose weight that way. But that's because dieters don't know how to lose weight. Anyways, so John says turkey's overrated, and as an enjoyable culinary experience makes it easy not to overeat that. The desserts and flour create a more problematic lingering after effect. Yeah, agreed. And I will strategically eat tomorrow. What will I do? I will get up and I will have a nourishing breakfast. Now I will make cookies tonight, so I will eat cookies before I even go to dinner tomorrow. I'll eat a couple cookies. Then I will go into Thanksgiving having a base under me. I will be well hydrated. I will have nourishment in my body. I will have eaten a couple pieces of fruit probably, and I'll have had a solid breakfast, meaning it will be protein, nutrients. I'll probably have some avocado. I'll probably have a bagel sandwich if I had to guess. But it's solid. It's, eggs, avocado, some salsa. The bagel's good. And then I'll probably eat some cookies. I'll slide into dinner well hydrated, having had probably maybe a banana and peanut butter an hour before I go. I'll walk into dinner not being starving. I will eat some appetizers. I will be calm and relaxed. I will intentionally not overeat too many appetizers, because when I have done that in the past, I don't enjoy the meal and I don't feel well. I will have the meal. I will eat what I like to eat. I'll be calm, relaxed. I'll enjoy it. And I might have a little bit of dessert. I don't really even, by the time Thanksgiving desserts come around, I'm usually, I've had enough, but I'll still have some. But again, I'll go into it calm and relaxed. That's the biggest thing I'll have. And then I got strategies on top of that. And I'm not expecting to eat perfect. I don't want to cross, for me, my main goal on Thanksgiving is I don't want to cross that threshold where I eat like too much. I just feel like shit, or I drink too much. And then it's like, now there's a hangover. I want to avoid a hangover, basically, I guess is what I'm saying. Alcohol or food one. And I want to make clear with something else too, that it doesn't matter. So I want to let you know that Thanksgiving was literally the last thing I fixed. Like if I look at a full year, Thanksgiving was the last thing I got a handle on. Because it's once a year. It doesn't matter. You can stuff yourself silly and it's not going to make a difference to your weight at all. But I think that it gets to the point eventually when you're walking this path that you just don't want to. I don't want to feel like shit. So that's kind of my plan. Oops, shit. I may have missed TikTok people. Geez, are we going to have TikTok in 2 months? I don't know. It's set to be banned, I just read yesterday, in January 19th. So I hope not, but we'll see. Hart says, it's funny, I need to hear the same things over and over again. Yeah, we all do, by the way. That's how we learn. People really miss that, and it makes them feel stupid. I get that all the time on my clients, and myself do that too. That you think because you need to hear something a million times that you're stupid, but it's not. That's how the human brain works. You need to have reinforcement. I was thinking that yesterday with commercials. It's like commercials don't work because they're so amazing that they just stick in your head. They work because you see the same commercial thousands of times. And so eventually it just, it takes repetition. That's how you learned how to speak a language. You learn through osmosis. You just absorbed it, but it's over and over and over and over the same thing. That's why I do this podcast every day. I realized I was thinking that the other day. I was like, it's, I do this podcast and I repeat a lot of the same things, but it's because that's how you learn, truly. And so I make it a mission to get out here and say the same stuff over and over again, because you need to hear it over and over and over and over and over again for it to sink in. So that's completely normal. So I hope you don't judge yourself for that, because that's how we learn. Someone says, when you talk about clean days versus and pleasure days, should they be completely different? I mean, again, I don't really like to get too far into this, because the clean pleasure days really are built on a whole foundation of mindset that's completely different than a dieter. Because I've realized this, because I used to talk a lot more about the clean pleasure days that we go through in the program. And what I started to realize quickly is that, like, a lot of people listening are dieters. And so they're thinking about clean pleasure days with a dieting mindset. And in the program, you really kind of do the mindset piece transforms your mindset. And then we're doing the clean pleasure days. And so they mean, it's not what you think. Just intuitively as a dieter, you hear clean pleasure days and you project, clean days where I eat perfectly and pleasure days where I'm just off the rails. And you have no nuance, you have no mindset pieces under it, you have no real strategy under it. So I don't really like to talk too much about clean pleasure days in too much detail, because there's a lot of information that goes into being able to do that. It's not, and again, I know you dieters, nuanced information. I don't need that, Jim. Just give me the plan. Just tell me the plan. Just tell me how many days of clean and how many pleasure. I just need to know, so I'll do it. It's like, dieters are so funny like that. Like, talk about, the delusion. Dieters think they're one plan away from losing all the weight. Like, I don't know how you could think. How many plans have you run through? Like, how many plans have you run through? It's not the fucking plan that's the problem. It's your mindset. You have no idea how to change your mindset. And so you just keep rotating through different plans that you can't stick to, because you have no idea how to change your mindset. You have no idea how to get yourself to actually follow the plan. You don't know how to change. But anyways, so I don't know, like should they be completely different? No, not necessarily. I mean, clean and pleasure days, like, again, pleasure is just different. Pleasure is, okay, let me reframe it a little bit. We could call them fuel and fun days. And now that doesn't mean, again, because I know dieters can't think in nuance terms. Dieters are all or nothing thinking. Is it this or this? Is it this or this? Tell me, is it this? It's like, dieters, just calm the fuck down. Take a deep breath and relax and start to realize that life is gray. It's not black or white. And so fuel and fun, so the intention is, on the fuel days, I'm eating primarily, my main focus and goal is to eat foods that fuel my body. That's the main motivation, the main criteria I'm looking to fulfill with my food decisions on my clean days, is I want to mostly, and again, it depends where I'm at. When I first start, I want to start making more choices that are more about fuel than fun. And as I get into it, I start weaning out, I get more and more and more and more. Percentage wise, I increase my fuel foods and my fun foods reduce, until eventually you get to a point where it's primarily I'm eating for fuel on these days. And these days here, I'm still eating for fuel, but now I'm also making more choices that are more fun related. And that relationship is really important for your long-term success. Yes, you can deprive yourself for a little while, but you will not stick with it. Jen says, dieting is like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunners being thin. Yes, it's so true. That's a great one, Jen. I love that. That's a perfect analogy. That's such a good one, Jen. Like clean days being all healthy foods and pleasure days all fun foods. Yeah, again, not nothing's ever all or nothing. It's not either or. And that way of thinking is going to doom you. It's a bit of a mixture, but it's, again, the clean days, I want more about fuel, more about clean food into my body to fuel me, because that's just a whole thing in of itself. In America, you never even get any messaging to eat foods based on fuel. We now live in a reality where every meal, every food, everything we put in our body, our mouth, is really about fun. Food has become entertainment. And that's primarily how people think about it 100% of the time. And so what we're doing, again, there's levels to this whole thing. Again, dieters just want to know what to do, but I'm more interested in how you think about it. And so even the paradigm of thinking about food as fuel, that's the engine driving it. Is not that we can't eat good. We can't eat ice cream. It's that I want to nourish my body. What does that feel like? How do I operate when I'm really fueling myself at a high level? So it's much more of an attitude of experimentation, testing things out, seeing how it feels, than it is, again, the dieting thing. Oh, I can do this and I can't do that. It's just different than that. So, Christina says, I've replaced most treats with a sweet fruit like a banana or apple. Yeah, that's a great strategy. I think that's number one best strategy for getting a handle on sweets is to start eating more fruit. I think fruit is probably your best strategy for replacing sweets comfortably. Don says, biggest thing I've learned is to pay attention to how I really feel after. Yeah, agreed, Don. I agree 1,000%. The thing that's changed my eating and helped me manage my weight more than anything else is my awareness of how I feel 6 seconds after I take the last bite of food. I really live in that space. Okay. I like to hold that space where right after I finish eating, I sit there, how do I feel? That's a very powerful thing to do. Most people don't do that. I didn't do that. Right? What do we typically do after we finish eating? Screen, disassociation, distraction, not paying attention to what's going on in here. But once you start paying attention, you're like, holy shit, I'm beating the shit out of myself. Oh my God, I am abusing my body. I'm abusing myself. You're literally abusing yourself, not by the weight. Yes, the weight too, but you're abusing yourself consistently, moment to moment, day after day. The way you're eating, a lot of people, anyways, not you, hopefully, but a lot of people literally abusing their body and don't even realize it because it's very easy to overlook it. And you've been trained to overlook it, by the way. So yeah, agreed, Don. I second that. Mimi says, thank you for all the information you give. I truly love your content. Well, thank you, Mimi. I appreciate you saying that. That's why I do it. Caitlin says, that's my thing. I go too hard, too fast. Yes. All dieters go too hard, too fast. There's no option, right? I mean, if you're going to start a diet, how does literally 100% of diets, how do you start them? Perfect on day one. There's no ramp up period. It's just, again, dieting is the fucking stupidest strategy on the planet. And, I would suggest that you that you should stop dieting. But yeah, going too hard, too fast is an understatement. I get it. It's the silliest shit. I always put it metaphorically just to drive the point home. It's like if you want to learn to play the piano and you're going to do the 14-7 method. So what's that? That's where you play 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, on paper, it sounds like, oh, you're going to get good really fast. But in reality, you're not going to be able to play 14 hours. Your whole body is going to be crying out in pain. You're going to hate the piano. You won't get through one day most likely, and you're definitely not going to get into the second day. And even if you do, then it just becomes a countdown clock to when you quit, to when you get overwhelmed and you can't do it anymore. But that's what dieters do without exception. That's the norm. And it's stupid because you're not built for that. Now, I don't blame any of you. We've all been conditioned by the diet industry. I mean, we've literally been exposed to millions of diet ads. So how would we think any different? But it's my job here. Job number one for me to get on this podcast anyways, the podcast job is to wake you up out of your diet trance. I always joke that I'm a hypnotist. I always thought I was going to be hypnotizing people for a living. I didn't know I was going to be waking people up out of hypnosis. Was actually what I was going to be doing. Let's see, someone's catching my eye here. So yeah, but that's what it is that people are walking around in a trance. And I'm trying to wake them up out of it. You're in you're obviously in a food consumption trance, just by the culture. But then right below that is you're in a dieter trance. When it comes to losing weight, you think like a dieter, and you try diets and you try doing dieting things. It doesn't work, and you keep doing it. That's the kind of the biggest symptom of a dieter is they just keep fucking doing the same thing that doesn't work for their whole lives, potentially. So. And it's weird because the part that's weird to me, I guess, that I've known that for a long time, but the part I find strange is I get on these podcasts every day. I've done what? Holy shit. 460 episodes. Some of them an hour, 2 hours. And maybe 4 times I've had people argue with me that dieting works. And to be honest, they all reneged on that idea and came over to my side. So the part, what I'm trying to say is that this thing that you rely so much on, you have absolutely no belief in it, or else you'd argue with me. And no one ever argues with me. No one ever tells, no, Jim, dieting's really good. No one ever says that. So I'm like, here you go. Yeah, and I think that just proves the point that it doesn't work. You don't fucking have any clue how to lose weight if you're a dieter. You have no idea. You know as little about how to lose weight now as you did before you started your first diet all those decades ago. And so I think that's just a crazy state of affairs that you just are, because you're too smart for it. I also know the other thing I know is I know if you're listening to this, I know you're a smart person. Well, I know you're an overthinker at least, because I talk fast. I'm talking about lots of different shit. I'm talking about, levels of things. And people that think on a more, one level that don't overthink, they hear me and they say, oh, fuck this guy. And then they bounce, So I know if you're listening to me, you're too smart to keep dieting. And I know it keeps you up at night because what you've done. This is the part. And this, again, I know I say this all the time, but this is the reason I do this is because I can't take the emotional pain dieters live in. It really, literally, it hits me right in the heart. It really does. Because I know I've worked with so many people. I know they're smart, good, awesome people. And what they've done is they don't say, oh, the diets don't work. They say there's something wrong with me. That's literally the reason I do this every day for free. I can't stand knowing that smart, good, hardworking, awesome people are stuck in this trap of thinking that they're the problem. Diets fail 95% of the time to help people lose weight long-term. So if something fails 95% of the time, if a strategy doesn't work for 95% of the people, when it doesn't work for you, why would you blame yourself instead of the strategy? That's what I don't get. And I do get it. You're in such a trance, you're not using your logical brain, which is weird for you. You're a logical, smart, intelligent person. But when it comes to weight loss, you're being a fucking clown. Don't think so? I'm being a little confrontational because I'm trying to get your fucking ire up. It's like, look in your life. If someone says something you disagree with in most areas of life, you're probably the type of person that doesn't let it go. I know my people, right? You'll argue it. You know what I mean? You're not going to you don't suffer fools lightly. You know what I mean? Like you're going to argue the point. But then it comes to weight loss and it's like, it's not even you. You're just like this little shrinking violet. Like, I don't know what to do. You're not like that with work. You won't like that with school. You're not like that in relationships. But then it comes to weight loss and you have been literally hypnotized to be this weak, scared, confused, flummoxed person. It's not you. It's that dieting thinking, it's the main reason I get out here. E-Picket says, I need to get to where I prefer fruit instead of Pop-Tarts. Right now, the balance goes way towards the fake sweets. Yeah, I get that. But again, you acknowledge where you are, you respect it, and you slowly start working it the direction you want to. You don't completely say, no more fake sweets, only fruit. That's an approach. And if it works for you, start with that, okay? There's my chance. Go ahead. Start with the all or nothing stuff. Completely cut out the fake sweets and only eat real fruit. Great. But if it's next week at this time and you're not doing it, then can you try the next approach where, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll cut down one sweet a day and I'll replace it with one fruit a day. And then I'll build on that. So it's normal. That, again, we all have to walk our path. Christina says, my pleasure days I'll have for my treat 2 to 3 squares of dark chocolate with some all natural peanut butter. That's a great one. That's great. That's another strategy I use. I don't talk enough about. I mean, I don't really eat processed food. So I'm telling you, that's a huge, huge benefit for a million reasons. And so even that switch, from switching over from processed foods to more whole natural foods is going to support you usually. JK said, really good podcast today. I think we are ready to ease through Thanksgiving in good shape. Yeah, great. And again, if you got the hypnosis session, even more so, because you're ready for it. You're anticipating success and, all the best. And a lot of times people aren't doing that. Because says, I actually really enjoy your podcast live. I just need for this stuff to sink in and get me going. Yeah, great. I mean, you should consider getting the program. Again, there's the hypnosis only pro. It's $97. Again, I don't want to get into this now, but I will say this real quick. And I understand financial reality. So if you're really strapped financially and even $97 is too much, then ignore what I'm saying. Okay. Cause I know I've been there. I know what that's like. But what I am saying is for the vast majority of people, $97, that's what you'll spend on fucking candy this month, And it's like, if you're not willing to invest $97 into your weight and your health and your happiness, then how much do you actually value it? I don't know. Anyways, good thing is I give you lots of stuff for free anyways. And I got cool stuff coming. Yes, Circle app. Get that to my peeps today. I was just finishing touches on to get people in there. So it's not really 100% done. I'm gonna get you all in there. Clients, people are in there. Thunder buns. I'm really constipated. I need more comments like that in my life. See if there's anyone else. Leah says, I'm taking a GLP-1. It's such a sleigh. Yeah, great. Such a sleigh. It's so funny. Again, the GLP-1, I'm not here to hate on this. I'm not the one to hate on GLP-1 hormones in the injections, but we'll see. I don't know. I see people like that. Is it a sleigh? We'll see. Can you shoot me a message in 2 years and let me know how you're doing with it? That's what I'm. I don't know. I don't know if it's such a sleigh. We'll see. All of you. And again, I'm not against it. I think if you're morbidly obese and you're not willing to do like the work we're talking about here, get on a GLP-1. Okay, no doubt. But if you're just overweight, and you don't want to deal with the core, because again, GLP-1s don't deal with the core issue, right? It's a Band-Aid on top of a wound. And the wound is, your mindset, your lifestyle, your eating is off, And so the GLP-1 just kind of masks things and makes you less hungry, at least for a while. We don't know where it goes because, again, you have to understand the GLP-1. The big thing that I concern myself with, I don't know what the ultimate effects are going to be. They've tested this for 20 years on type 2 diabetics. They haven't tested for 20 years on people that don't have diabetes. So that is the big question. What is the long-term impact of these medicines? Do they continually work? Do you build a tolerance to them? If you ever go off them, does it screw up your metabolism and your hunger signaling so that you're always hungry? There's just a lot of questions. And again, I think if you're morbidly obese, I think those questions are far outweighed by the benefits. But I think if you're overweight and you're on this, you're getting on a path that may be really difficult to get off of. And we don't know where it all ends up going to. So again, I'm not, but the other thing is too, that what I'm talking about here really is completely different than just the GLP-1 hormone. Again, there's no inner work being done. When you do a GLP-1 injection, you're not fixing your mindset. You're not fixing your lifestyle. You're not really learning how to eat like a thin, healthy person. You're just taking this thing that forces you to act differently. And none of this other stuff's changed. And so there's a lot more to it than I think. And again, it's brand new. So we don't know all the issues with it. But, we'll see. We'll see. I hope you slay forever with it. I really do. Eddie said, you're so right. You need to hear the hard stuff to get through it. Yes, it's true. It's true. And I say everything with love here. I know I say some things that can seem kind of aggressive, but I say it all with love just to help you all out. Okay, R9 says, is rule fasting helpful? I don't know what rule fasting is. ROOL. I'm assuming there's a typo there. Just as have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. Thank you, PIT. You're welcome, Jen, and thank you. You too. Have a wonderful day tomorrow. And ePicket's got the program. Good. So ePicket, again, you can go through the program again. If you got a couple of months ago, then I know you got the mastery version, so you got access to the Tuesday calls now. Re-engage. Okay. So is rule fasting helpful? I have no idea. I don't know what rule fasting is. Fasting in itself is what it is. But all right, I'm going to end up here because I got a lot of stuff I want to get done early today, and I want to kick off and be done. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're celebrating it. If you're not in my world yet, click the link in my bio. Go get the free hypnosis session. If you get in there, I will actually, I'm going to send it out. It goes out in a couple hours. You'll get the Thanksgiving training I put together for you. It's 5 minutes. I know you're busy. 5 steps to thrive during Thanksgiving. There's a hypnosis, and I'll give you all that for free. Okay. So if you opt in, I'll send that to you. And then, and then this is a podcast. So I'm here every day, usually Monday through Friday around noon Eastern. If you have any questions, pop on and ask them. And if you miss it, want to listen to the replay, it's Program Yourself Thin is the podcast, and you can listen on all the podcast places. So, thanks everyone. Have a super Thanksgiving. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.